His Excellency Lior Kainan, Ambassador of Israel, to address us. Then I will invite Ambassador Zanele Makina, Chief Director, Middle East, at the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, South Africa, to address us. Ayelet Black, the Deputy Ambassador of Israel, will follow with an introduction to the ceremony of the righteous amongst the nations. And after that, the award ceremony will take place. I'm sure that you all saw already the award, the medal, and the award ceremony will follow. After the award ceremony, Art van den Brink, grandson of Rinske, will address us as a representative of the whole family. I will call now on Ambassador Kainan to address us first.
Thank you, Tal. Good evening. Dear Holocaust survivor, Chief Director for Middle East, DIRCO, Ambassador Zanele Makina, thank you for honoring us tonight and being here with us. Chief Rabbi Goldstein, Bishop Lekanyani at the Zionist Christian Church, a dear friend, thank you for coming such a long drive in order to honor us tonight. Our dear friends, Prince Buthelezi, it is an honor to have you here tonight with us, and thank you for arriving. Ambassadors, High Commissioners, member of the Diplomatic Corps, representative of the Jewish community, family of the righteous among nations, welcome, and dear friends. We have come together tonight in this significant place, the Holocaust Museum in Johannesburg, to salute bravery, to pay tribute to wonderful spirit of humanity. We salute the human spirit of the Holocaust survivors, the brave people that survived what their 6 million brothers, sisters, parents and children did not. What might and optimism you have, dear survivors, to have seen what you saw, experienced such horrors, but overcome the past to establish a new and optimistic future for yourself and for us. Just last week we lost a fellow Holocaust survivor, Mordechai Perlo. He was a true embodiment of this human spirit and optimism. After experiencing such horror at the young age of 14, and despite not being able to get a formal education, he came to South Africa and became a successful businessman. He raised a beautiful family and became an inspiration to those who knew him. May he rest in peace. Tonight we also salute the brave soldiers of the Allied countries who paid the ultimate sacrifice to stop, 75 years ago, the Nazi machine of destruction. Allow me to personally thank the American Ambassador Lana Marks, the Russian Deputy Head of Mission Mr. Vladimir Yakovlev, the South African government representative, and the representative of the Allied countries for joining us here today. But this evening, we do not only salute the bravery of countries and armies, we also honor the bravery of individuals, the people who made a choice to listen to their conscience and save Jews during the Second World War. They did so while putting themselves and their families at great risk, as their fate was obvious if they were found to be protecting Jews from the inferno. The State of Israel does not hand out medals. The only medals we hand out is for these special individuals that were acknowledged by Yad Vashem Museum in Israel and given the title of Righteous Among the Nations. To date, Israel has recognized over 26,000 righteous among the nations. They have come from 50 different countries, citizens from around the world, not only Europe, from the famous Oskar Schindler to the lesser-known heroes, from farmers and workers to diplomats who operated against their government orders. We do so in order to emphasize that the acts of these people have done are the most honorable and brave. They put into action the Jewish saying, כל המציל נפש אחת, כאילו הציל עולם ומלואו. He who saved one life, it is as if he has saved the entire world. We are hopeful that the world will see this individual and follow in their bravery. Today we have a unique opportunity to honor such an individual. We will be presenting this prestigious award to the descendants and family members of Rinske, Brink. She and her husband, Art, saved a young Jewish boy, Abraham Star, at great risk to their and their children's life. I wish I could stop here, after these stories of bravery, of countries and individuals that defeated and survived the Nazi regime. But the picture is sadly more complicated than that. Exactly today, 75 years ago, the soldiers of the Red Army entered a Nazi camp in Poland. The world recognized this place as the concentration camp Auschwitz-Birkenau. But this was not a camp. It was hell itself, where 1.1 million Jews were executed and sent to the gas chambers. The sight revealed to the soldiers that reached Auschwitz and the other awful places all through Europe shook and horrified the world. The thought that humans, flesh and blood, are able to commit these atrocities towards men was incomprehensible then and are incomprehensible now. One would assume that the world has learned its lesson. Yet, only 75 years after the Holocaust, we are starting to see how anti-Semitism and hatred of Jews are back, center stage, as if we have learned nothing from history, as if humanity has not already sacrificed so much life in order for us to improve as a society. Is 75 years the memory life cycle after the humanity erases its memory and begins anew? The years 2018 and 2019 brought a new record of anti-Semitic incidents around the world. In these years alone, anti-Semitic deadly attacks followed Jews in the United States and Germany while they were praying in synagogue, shopping at kosher supermarkets, attacks that killed more than 20 people. Jews all over the world have reported that they can no longer wear kippah, a Star of David necklace, or any other Jewish symbol without being attacked, demeaned, or experienced physical or verbal abuse. In a survey done by the EU, the European Union, 89% of Jews in Europe answered that anti-Semitism has risen in their countries in the last 5 years, 89%. This is the same pattern that we are seeing also in universities, campuses all over the globe. The international community sees all this and responds too slowly, if at all. Even though the United Nations was created as a result of the Second World War, in which the Holocaust occurred, it took the organization more than 60 years to mark the International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Similarly, only a few months ago, 74 years after the establishment of the UN, did the organization release its first report on the global issue of anti-Semitism. 60 years to recognize the need to mark the horrific events of the Holocaust. 74 years to say, Houston, we have a problem when it comes to the existence of global anti-Semitism. These developments are important, and I hope they will act as a catalyst for future actionable decisions to fight against this awful manifestation. Another important organization not yet reaching its full potential is the IHRA, the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. This organization was created in 1998 in order to create a task force for international cooperation on Holocaust education, remembrance, and research. In 2016, the members of this body reached a decision to define anti-Semitism, a definition that was later adopted by a portion of countries that are members of that alliance. An important act indeed. So far, that's the good news. The bad news is that only 34 countries are part of this alliance. 29 European countries, Canada, the USA, and Australia, Israel, and the only one representative of the rest of the world, Argentina. 7 other countries are observers, 4 European countries, Uruguay, El Salvador, and Turkey. And thank you for the Turkish ambassador for joining us tonight. In other words, more than 150 countries around the world do not reckon that there is any need to learn more about what happened in the darkest period of modern human history, nor from the definition of anti-Semitism and how to fight it. Until this happens, it is museums and institutions like this center that have taken upon themselves the job of countries and governments. They promote recognition of the Holocaust by the public with special emphasis on youth, the next generation. They are leading almost desperate attempt to try to prevent history repeating itself. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the management and team of the Holocaust and Genocide Center of Johannesburg for their brave efforts and work to promote the memory of the Holocaust, and for their open arms welcoming us here this evening for this special commemoration event. Just as Israel promoted the United Nations decision for this day of commemoration and the establishment of the IHRA, so it will continue to lead the efforts to keep the remembrance of the Holocaust and the fight against anti-Semitism high on the global agenda. It was only a few days ago that Israel hosted 45 world leaders that declared that the international community is not doing enough in these fields. It was a clear call from Jerusalem that anti-Zionism and denying Israel rights to exist are a form of anti-Semitism which must be uprooted. I hope these proclamations will not disappear with the wind. They must turn into action so we can ensure never again. Thank you. It is my honor to invite Chief Director for the Middle East to the Department for International Relations and Cooperation, Ambassador Zanele Makina, to the stage to say a few words.
Thank you, Excellency. The Chairman of the Board of the Center, Survivors of the Holocaust, Right, His Holiness Bishop Khanyani, Chief Mangosuthu Buthelezi, Excellencies, Ambassador of the USA to South Africa, Ambassador Lana Max, welcome to South Africa. We're happy to have you. Ambassador of Germany, Ambassador Martin Schiffer, and the Ambassador of Turkey, my sister, Ambassador Elif Uge. I don't see her. Oh, there she is. Ladies and gentlemen, and honored guests, it is my honor this evening to join you in this august occasion. It is a bittersweet occasion, but it is an occasion that is very necessary for the rest of the world, and particularly for the Republic of South Africa. We are, as the Department of International Relations, have to put into remembrance that the Holocaust was a reality, and the Holocaust is a stark reminder of what should not happen, not only in South Africa, but in Africa. I am not going to say too many words this evening because I've seen that it is a long program. However, just a few notable thoughts that I had as I was thinking about this day and this evening. One of the respected academics, Dr. Ronnie Michael Ariely, who is a notable academic in Israel, writes a lot about collective memory of the Holocaust, particularly the Nazi Holocaust, but generally also of the sad happenings of the world that affect certain groupings of people. She particularly zooms, when I read her articles, she zooms a lot on trying to draw a parallel of the experience of apartheid and how the leaders of this country, the fathers of the Free South Africa, had related and had also seen the relationship between the Holocaust and apartheid. But most importantly, she argues that the collective memory, which is really should be multi-directional, is incumbent upon us to look at it that way, that once we see the Holocaust and we keep it into memory, we must also be able to see how the country of South Africa, particularly the leaders and the founders of the democratic South Africa, viewed and also related with the Jews during the time of after the Holocaust, immediately after the Holocaust, and also the time immediately after. She particularly records a memoir that was written by one of the stalwarts of the African National Congress, Dr. Ahmed Kathrada, who as a young boy visited East Germany and Auschwitz. He had gone there as a communist, and his background, he was a young Indian who also was a Muslim. He went to visit Germany at some stage, and also the Eastern Bloc, particularly during the time of the Eastern Bloc. And he was so touched by the memory of the Holocaust, to the extent that he picked up the bones of the leftover bones of the deceased that were killed during the Holocaust, and he kept those bones and brought them back to South Africa and kept them very safely in his room. One cannot help but be touched whenever one thinks about what led a Muslim, Indian, communist to be so touched by the reality and the stark brutality of what had happened to the Jews that were killed during the time of the Nazi annihilation or intended annihilation of the Jewish people. She records further to say, at one stage, Ahmed Kathrada, when the apartheid police visited his room, in order to arrest him, they found this box which contained the bones, and the policeman, of course, asked him, "What is this?" And he explained, "Oh, these are the bones that I picked up in Auschwitz." After and he related the story of the Holocaust, and said to say, the policeman said, they were just Jews, not so. And that touched him so much that for every moment, whenever he was to speak, mobilizing young people in South Africa against injustice, he could not leave out the horrible experience and what it means and what had happened to the Jewish people. The story is long of our relationship as South Africans with the Jewish community. President Nelson Mandela, when he went to do his articles as a lawyer, he practiced in a Jewish law firm. We have, therefore, a relationship that cannot be denied, no matter what is happening in history today, and no matter what voices are arising against the Jews. I believe, personally, that whatever is happening today cannot rewrite the history of our umbilical cord between the Jewish people and the suffering of apartheid, that also many of the Jewish people helped us, and also most of the Jewish companies today are employing many of our people and our young children. In these few words, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, royalties, I would like to say that once we commemorate this day, we must also celebrate the fact that it binds humanity in understanding and being conscious of the injustice of discrimination, racism, and stereotyping of people, because those are the foundations that lead finally to annihilation and ethnic cleansing. With those few words, tonight we are also going to be honoring, as Ambassador Kinan has already said, one of the righteous amongst nations, of the people who did not need to be Jewish to know that it was wrong for the Jewish to be killed. And this is the way that we should be seeing all disasters of the world and all the injustice. That you don't have to be a member of that community that is being subjected to injustice for you to understand that it is unjust. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Makina. It is my absolute pleasure and honor to introduce the Righteous Among the Nations Award. Tonight, we have a unique and rare opportunity to recognize one individual's choice to risk everything in order to save one life in the wake of such a horrific time in human history. Tonight, we will hear the story of Rinske. She and her husband Art took in the young Jewish boy, Abraham, Abi for short, and saved his life. Abi lived with his parents, Louis and Elizabeth Stahl, in Amsterdam with his siblings Elizabeth and Jacob. Elizabeth Stahl's mother had an antique business, and Louis's parents a toy store. Louis and Elizabeth Stahl had a small inn and export business and worked very hard. When the Germans invaded Holland, Louis and Elizabeth Stahl were very nervous. They drove to the harbor, hoping to get aboard a boat, but the road was packed with Jews that did not manage to get anywhere, so they returned home and life went on. In 1941, the Stahl family moved to Ermelo, a town in the province of Gelderland. They rented a small summer house. The children enjoyed the country life. Betty Stahl-Pugo, Louis's mother, lived just 1 block away. Soon the family adjusted to their new environment and made new friends like Anton Rook, head of the local post office and member of the local resistance. Anton Rook's son Anton became a friend of Abi's. In 1942, the Stahl family got an order to report for a labor camp. Instead of obeying, the Stahl family, including Betty Stahl-Pugo, went into hiding in a summer house in the woods of Ermelo that belonged to Frederick Kuycher and his wife Sophia Martina Kuycher, friends of the family who lived in Utrecht. The Stahl family lived invisibly in the house, so nobody would notice that someone was living there. There were some trusted people who supported the family with food and services. Between them, Anton Rook and Baron's Arts, a male nurse, who was Mr. Rook's right hand. Life was very tense. From time to time, the Kuycher couple visited the Stahl family in the summer house. The families even celebrated New Year's Eve together on the 1st of January, 1943. One night, on the 22nd of March, 1943, a Jewish-German immigrant, Hugo Hirsch, visited the Stahl family together with the Kuycher couple. It seemed they had been followed, because suddenly the bell rang and the Dutch police raided the house, together with the Nazi-sympathizing mayor of neighboring town Putten. All present persons were arrested and transferred to the police station in Putten. Only Abi Stahl managed to escape during the arrest. The Kuycher couple were freed the next day, but the Stahl family was sent to Westerbork, and from there to Sobibor, where they were all murdered on the 2nd of April, 1943. Abi ran through the woods until he arrived at the house of the Arts family in Ermelo. They took him into their home, and the underground organization checked if Abi hadn't been followed. The situation was very dangerous, as no one knew if Abi's parents would tell about the resistance movement. Therefore, he was soon transferred to another address. However, there he could not stay either. Anton Rook was contacted, and he sent one of the post office employees, Alt Johannes Vandenberg, to take Abi to the post office. Alt drove to Abi's hiding place on his big transport bike, hid Abi inside a box, and brought him safely to the post office. The Rook couple, Anton Rook and his wife Bernardina Wilhelmina Rook, lived in an apartment just above the post office. They hid Abi inside Anton Jr.'s room, and Anton did not reveal the secret to anyone, not even to his siblings. He took care of Abi and brought him food in secret. Of course, this situation was temporary as well. After about 2 weeks, the Germans confiscated a part of the post office and Abby had to move on. He went from place to place, from Herderwick to Apeldoorn. One of these courageous families that took Abby in was the Brink family. Art, his wife Rinske, who we are honoring tonight, and their children, including Frokje Steen, who is with us here tonight to receive the award on behalf of her mother. Art was a carpenter, and Abby liked to work in his workshop. When the police came to investigate, though, Abby had to leave. After that, he changed hiding places a few more times until he was liberated in Apeldoorn in May 1945. Abby got married in 1964 and had 2 children. It is my honor now to call to the stage Ambassador Liol Kenan and Chief Director for the Middle East, Ambassador Zanele Makine, to present the award of Righteous Among the Nations to family members of Rinske Brink, her daughter Frokje Steen, and grandchildren, Rinske, Kiki for short, Van Rooyen, who has a birthday today, and Art Brink, who will say a few words on behalf of the family. Please come to the stage to accept your award.
Holocaust survivors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and honor to share a few thoughts with you on behalf of the Van Brink family. When a stone is dropped into a pool of water, the ripple effect continues to widen and circle out long after the stone has sunk to the bottom. Tonight, we as families still feel the ripple of a stone dropped into a pool many years ago. And although we were not there, the impact remains as tangible today as it was all those years ago. As you heard, in March 1943, 77 years ago, my grandparents, Art and Rinske van Brink, performed a deed of love that continues to circle out and impact our lives to this very day. They assisted several Jewish children during the Second World War, and one of these children was Abram Stahl, or Abby, as you heard. He was just 15 years old then. My grandfather and mother took Abby in, hid him, cared for him as one of their own children for approximately 9 months. I still recollect all the stories my father told me about the children that they had to hide in their bedrooms and in the closets. And Abby says in his recollections that the Van Brinks had more than 10 children, but in fact they had 5. The others were all Jewish children. In the Shoah organization interview with Abby in 1998, he said that my grandparents were very religious and that the family read from the Bible every afternoon at lunch. The children, including Abby, all took turns and they had to read from both the Old and the New Testaments. This confirms to me that my grandparents did not do this act of love without expecting any recognition, because we as children of God believe what is written in Colossians 3 verse 23, which says, "Whatever you do, do it with all your heart, as though you are doing it for the Lord himself and not merely for others." I am thankful that this act of love has now circled out to 4 generations of Van den Brinks. In fact, we all carry the DNA that Grandpa and Grandma passed on to us, and the unconditional love for all people, regardless of their convictions or origin. Grandmother is recognized tonight, as grandfather was already recognized together with his brother Herman and wife in 1979. The effect of grandmother's act of love is encircling everybody here tonight, including Laurie Stahl, daughter of Abby Stahl, who resides in the USA. Since 2016, she has been searching to find all the people that assisted her father during the war. It is due to her persistence and endless efforts that recognition could be given to Grandma Rinske tonight. To the Yad Vashem organization, the Johannesburg Holocaust Ceter, and the Embassy of Israel, thank you for awarding the title of the Righteous Among the Nations to Grandma Rinske. We greatly appreciate it, and it's an honor to have our family recognized. Thank you.
Wow. I think that there is no dry eye in the room, and I'm no exception. Thank you so much, all of you, for your inspiring words and for this amazing award to your family. Now we will start